we're at an estate near Fort William where we're doing some harvesting.
Magnificent views.
Absolutely fantastic. It's not a bad view from the office, this one.
You handle all the harvesting. Tilhill handles all the harvesting for this site.
We are undertaking the harvesting. And so we've got a contractor here, Charlie Patterson, who works for us, worked for us consistently for many years. We'll have a bit of a chat about the product we've got at Roadside. So here we've got chipwood that's going to be made into OSB, orientated strand board, which is the panel product that is used in the building sector.
What is OSB?
Orientated strand board.
Okay.
Like a substitute for plywood. So we're harvesting two products here. Or two species. We've got lodgepole pine, which is this in front of us here.
See?
And then further down, the main of the crop is spruce, though, and that's really what we want. So we're producing saw logs here, and I think these are 4.9 saw logs. So.
Okay. What mill will they be going to?
They're going to Fort William, so it's the cream of the crop. Look at that. It really doesn't get much better than that.
Good quality timber.
Good quality logs. And then here we've got some oversized logs. So these are too big to go through the normal line at Fort William. These are 6.2 meters long. So these might go to sort of purlins or for sort of joists for farm buildings or something like that. These are typically used for. And then over here we've got some, we've got a product that's like a rustic sleeper. This is just going to have a slab taken off the top and the bottom, so get two faces squared off and go into the sort of garden, into the garden sector. And then last but by no means least, we've got some 3.7 saw logs here, so 12-foot saw logs.
Okay.
So,
and will they go into gardens as well?
No, saw logs will go to make construction timber. We'll probably I'll be kilned and planed and go for flooring joists or some structural work in a house somewhere. Here we've got Ewan. You've met Ewan Robertson, haven't you?
Yes, indeed.
Ewan Robertson. So Ewan Robertson's runs the whole operation in our northern region. So he's got something like 10 reports. And then Peter's responsible for this site in conjunction with another manager.
Okay. How much timber of the UK's timber does this site provide?
This site, so I think we're harvesting about 20,000 tonnes here, and the UK harvest is about 10 million. So,
oh, there we go.
Very round terms.
Yeah.
So we're just measuring the quality, just checking the lengths here to make sure that the harvest is producing product correctly.
Okay.
So we regularly check the quality in terms of the dimensional elements, and also the making sure that the crook, the sweep, the bend in the logs is correct, and also how the presentation of the logs here. So we don't want to see too much of these sorts of things.
What happens with logs that don't meet that kind of the diameter, or the for example, that have bends in them?
Well, we just lose yield in the saw because you're trying to take a straight product out of a bend.
But they always get an end use, right? Nothing gets wasted.
Nothing. It's just your recovery of the timber in the middle is reduced, and you'll end up with more chips. So So we're still, that product goes off to make panel board or paper or something like that. So there's still a use for it, but we're just not getting as much of the higher value centre product out of it. So we're checking the dimensions here, and the top diameter and the bottom diameter is crucial here. We don't, there's really quite a tight tolerance for these things.
Windy there today.
It is, the wind's just come up. So that's the 6-wheeler and drag. It's not a rigid, it's not an articulated wagon, and it's also got central tyre inflation on it, so it means that we can vary the tyre pressures so that on softer roads, forest roads often aren't as strong as council roads, we can reduce the tyre pressures down from something like 100 psi down to somewhere around 30. So it means that the actual part of the tyre that's in contact with the road is greater, and it reduces the pressure on the road, and therefore the potential for damage is reduced. So it's fairly standard these days on bespoke haulage kit.
How old are the trees here? The oldest trees?
This was it was 1968, I think, because the previous log buyer, who worked for BSW and retired about 8 years ago, this is where he started his forestry career in the Highlands on the estate when it was part of the Forestry Commission's estate. So I think that was about
over 50 years.
Yeah, I think 68, 1970, something like that was when it was planted.
Good.
And is there much restocking going on?
Yeah, so there's quite a decent restock program here, both a mix of commercial crops and also native broadleaves as well. So here we've got Ferguson's transport wagon coming on site, and this looks like it's going to be picking up 4.9 saw logs, which is going back to the sawmill at Fort William, which is about 25 miles away.
Yeah. Okay.
And this will lift about 25 tons, something like that.
And how many trips will it do in a day?
They'll get 3 in a day. We're fairly close to the mill here, so you'd maybe get 4 at a push, but you'd hope to average about 3 in a day. But longer hauls, you might only get 2 in a day.
Right. And supply is keeping up with demand, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment we've got plenty of material, and at the moment I think we've got somewhere in the region of about 2 weeks stock at Roadside for the sawmill.
Okay.
And we've got about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks worth of stock in the sawmill as well. So all told, we've probably got about a month in front of the sawmill. So can you see these cables running into the tyres here?
Yeah.
So that allows us to, that's the central tyre inflation that allows the wagon to vary the pressures on this site. And similarly on the back here, also got pipes in the middle there that allow us to vary the pressures here.
And who controls it? How do they know what? They just judge the road and then?
Well, they'll set it. They'll have a setting for running on forest roads.
Right.
So yeah, he's loading 4.9 saw logs for the sawmill. So it'll take about 10 minutes for him to load this wagon. He'll put 25 tons on, maybe slightly quicker than that with 4.9 logs. The longer the logs, the quicker it is to load, the more efficient the process is. So if it's shorter product like the chipwood there, that would take about, a bit longer, quarter an hour, 20 minutes.
Harry, would you say there's a shortage of machine operators like this?
Yeah, I'd say throughout the sector, There's a shortage of whether it's foresters, harvesting foresters, forest management foresters, and then machine operators. In fact, probably machine operators is maybe where we see it most of all. Wagon drivers as well. I mean, this is a very specialist operation that this guy's doing. You know, to be able to drive a lorry off tarmac is quite a big ask for a lot of people, and then to come on site to be able to use the crane, do this all safely and in an appropriate, compliant manner it's a big ask, I would say.
How do people get into that kind of job?
They work for a local haulage contractor. I mean, there are starting to be some national schemes in terms of training people up and things, but typically people learn through local contractors. So this is one of our largest haulage contractors working for us, both in terms of roundwood into the sawmill at Fort William, but also doing finished goods out in terms of sawn timber and things like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time today. That was great. Gave us a little insight into a working forest here, productive woodland.